What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. So we have a quick Aaron Rodgers recovery update. It's more of an interesting event in the path of Aaron Rodgers' recovery to me, if nothing else. But we've seen a few different Herculean tasks from Aaron Rodgers since he had his Achilles injury. But let's dive into what's currently going on with him, right? So we know that he's kind of been in a steady diet, if you will, of picking up recovery activities, right? He pressed himself as hard as he can to try to make a return in the event the Jets were going to make the playoffs last year. And he seems to have picked right up where he left off. He's currently attending Proactive Camp, which is a facility located in Cali, which we know is near his home. We've seen him dip off back to California for a few various things while he was acclimating to the New York Jets, his teammates, the new facility, trying to find a home in New Jersey, all of that good stuff. So familiar surroundings tends to do well for him. What happened is, I guess, in an impromptu or unplanned competition, this wasn't, as far as I understand, a part of the normal training or workouts or anything that they were doing. He challenged or got challenged by Broncos linebacker Alex Singleton, who's 30 years old, so 10 years Aaron Rodgers Jr., and he beat him in a sprint, right? I don't know how far exactly the distance was or anything, but from what I recall, there's a video on Aaron Rodgers' Instagram, or it may have just been a picture of the aftermath, but basically him highlighting that he beat Alex Singleton, smiling, and I think this is a huge deal, right? Personally, just from a vibes perspective, as well as, with the New York Jets, I don't have concerns about the talent level. I don't even necessarily have as much concerns about the health as I do an intangible part that's crucial for us, and that's really the mental makeup and fortitude of this team, right? We've seen how everybody got crushed by Aaron Rodgers' injury. We've seen how everybody from the executive GMs all the way down to the coaching staff and the players just seem to have kind of shut down and given up the moment that we was hurt. And it's not something, well, more so offensively, right? I think a lot of the defensive players and that side of the staff's ball was comfortable enough, but offensively, it really dealt us a pretty big blow. But you take a look at the timeline of how everything's kind of cracked down, and in light of the recent podcast interview we've seen where he was on I Can Fly and speaking about kind of the entire process up until now, you go from him considering himself having a career-ending injury to a lot of these Herculean feats that we've seen from him during his recovery at various points where a lot of the experts will tell you he shouldn't have been able to do these certain things, right? You think about him being in a walking boot. I want to say it was something crazy like 3 weeks maybe after he completed his surgery. Then you see him walking not too long after that without too much of I would say a ginger limp, right? Then you see him being able to toss the ball pretty effectively just during some warm-up catch and pass sessions before games. Then you get him remaining on the active roster, right, and him kind of picking up on scout team reps and or Jets flight school, and then we heard some of the stuff that came out from that, right? You think about the teammates that were raving, and I think that's an appropriate word here, about him carving up the defense, and in some manner paraphrasing, that was almost exactly CJ Mosley's words, is that the moment he hit the field and was able to go out there and actually participate as a significant enough member on the offense, he carved up the defense, right? Exactly what you'd expect from a guy with the offensive mastery that he has and his ability to go out there and just decimate, slice, and dice and the words escaping me, but essentially manipulate the defense to his liking. Then you get the probably the biggest highlight of that whole event was that he, at some point, and I don't want to say the staff and players were playing around with it, but he was able to go out there and help out on defense as part of scout team. And you hear that he's out there, collecting interceptions while he's playing defense. So I've loved all of these, big moments for Aaron Rodgers. I think it's a huge boost not only for him, especially considering you're getting a guy on the heels of this interview, among other things, that feels like he's revamped, revitalized, and finding his passion again. If you think back, you heard him mention before that he's kind of re-falling in love with the game of football once again. And maybe that's in part due to Nathaniel Hackett and stuff. Maybe it was the youth of this New York Jets team and a lot of the players, and, him hearing us melting, cheese heads and stuff with Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall to kind of bring him in, and how much he's wanted, loved, and respected within the facility, and really held in high regards and stuff. Really helped out a lot. And then you hear him kind of taking in that Mamba mentality a little bit and getting inspiration from Kobe Bryant and his own time dealing with the Achilles injuries that he dealt with. So all of that to say, ultimately, I think this is all significant enough news, because mentally where we were at a year ago was extremely challenging for anybody that's a fan or a part of that organization. And I think we need to kind of stack those good days mentally, right? And that can mean whatever. Good days from a recovery standpoint, good days in terms of when we start kicking off OTAs and mini camps and stuff, and we're actually stacking up decent days where we're hearing the offense isn't just keeping up with the defense, but they're getting the better of them on certain days, right? I think a lot of those little mini steps will be huge progression points for us as a team overall, and what it will mean for the ultimate outcome of our season. But ultimately, let me know what you guys think. It was a fun story I happened to come across. Thought it was pretty interesting. Alex Singleton isn't necessarily a slouch by any means either. I understand he's 30 years old, which for a linebacker would be a lot older in comparison than what I think a 40-year-old quarterback would be, just because of the wear and tear factor. But Alex Singleton ran something like 4.55, 4.65. No, it's not crazy, right? We're not talking about 4.3 speed or anything, but for one of the more classic throwback type linebacker builds, 6'1", I think he plays at about 250 to 260-ish, is significant enough, right? He definitely has wheels, decent enough to be a solid option in coverage as a linebacker. So it's fun. Both guys coming off injury, the fact that he can go out there and participate in something like a sprint again, I think is can't be understated. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you again. Peace.